One of my favourite things to see when people send me games to review is this. You might be familiar with this if you play games on itch. There are lots of sort of ongoing game jams on itch where you can get feedback, and I always find it really reassuring when I get sent a game to look at on the channel and it's got all of this stuff that you can see down the right hand side, because it shows that the developer has been getting lots and lots of feedback on their game. Game design is an iterative process. That means you do it, you review it, and you do it again and again and again and again. It warms the cockles of my heart when I see that someone has been engaged in this process of getting lots of regular feedback, because it means that when I look at the game, I'm not going to see any real big kind of clangers in terms of the game design. Now, what you are looking at is a slightly visually noisy start screen with lots of different weights of pixel art. It looks a bit bad sometimes when this happens, but it's got a certain charm to it. This is Chair Champions, a game about racing chairs around an office. All I have on this screen in terms of the controls are arrow keys to move around and enter to get on and off of my chair. Really clearly communicated, actually. I think looks a bit messy in terms of the layout. So I'm going to choose a character. Eddie Blady McEdface, Lizzie Martini, Betty Willow. I'm pretty sure I have this asset pack. I've seen this asset pack and I think I might have even used it. But there are a lot of sort of mixed weights of pixels throughout this game, and I know some people have strong opinions of that when it comes to pixel art. It does seem like a game that is intended to be kind of a bit goofy and comedic, so I think people are going to be more forgiving of that. I'm going to go for Anthony Radio Brush because he looks like a dude who abides. Okay, we're racing around a house. I thought this was going to be offices because we were in office chairs, but fine. And then select chair. There's something about the layout of this where I think the buttons to select, I say this all the time, but so much of like the last 5 or 10% of making a game is just doing annoying little moving things around in the interface. I feel like these buttons to go left and right to select your car, I was gonna call it a car, to select your chair, these feel like they're in a weird place up here on the top left. They feel like they should be more clearly associated with where the chair is. Home Racer, the boss, the McFly. That's a floating chair. That's cool. I'm going to go with the Office Ninja. This would have been great if I'd have got a sponsorship deal with a chair company and then I could put it on the video for this particular game. That would have been amazing. So if you work at a chair company and you want to sponsor me, give me £1,000. I'll basically remake this video and theme it around doing an ad for your company and reviewing chair racers. I think that would work. We've really just got directional buttons and enter to get in the chair. I don't think I actually got the chair I picked then. Maybe I did. We've got little shoes to pick up that make you fast. Energy drinks. Oh, I got out of my chair then. So you can leave your chair, which is interesting. I wonder what the game does with that. Are they discs or... Not sure what that icon is. We're going outside, we're going in the garden. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is all an asset pack that came from sort of RPG Maker. I think it's the old school modern pack, which is like the one that everyone uses when they want to make a game based on Earthbound. So it's actually quite hard to find assets for modern settings. The pixel art weebs who make the RPG Maker packs, they want to make a nymph. They want to make a little man who's a mushroom. They don't want to make an office chair and a toilet. And that means that we have less to pick from when it comes to asset packs set in the modern era. There's a guy in a bin. Hello, guy in a bin. I do feel like there is like so much going on visually. That arrow at the top of the screen is doing a lot of heavy lifting because I just want to go off the track and go to check out all of the other stuff. I don't think that's a complaint. I think that's a good thing, and I think One of the things that action games often need to do is create noise, and I don't mean noise in the sonic sense. I mean sort of like visual noise, or like noise in your brain, like different things for you to have to deal with and filter out so you can focus on the thing you're supposed to be doing, right? Because if a racing game is just a track with some bends in it and nothing visually there to sort of put you off, then you're sort of missing an aspect of what racing is about, which is it's kind of about focus, right? And focusing enough so that you can make split-second decisions. And I think even though it's a goofy theme to be racing office chairs around a house, it works quite well because it provides all of this noise, all of this stuff for us to have to filter out. So let's take a second run at that with a different character and on a different map, I think. I know this game probably works better as a multiplayer game, but if I start doing proper multiplayer playtests for one person on the channel, then I kind of need to do it for everyone, and I just don't have the capacity to do that right now. So it may be something we do in our community Discord at some point when people are making multiplayer games. Select a chair. I'm going to go with the fancy looking hover chair this time. The chairs are sort of showing that they're randomized, so I think you can grab any chair and then you get your chair. It's a little bit confusing. Oh, I'm just racing against the AI this time. That's fine, we'll forget about the other characters. So one of the things I do notice as I'm playing this is it's kind of hard to get a sense of this kind of feel when you're watching someone play a game, but if I just go around in a square like this, you'll see that my chair, this is 4 directions that we can move in this game. It's very, very responsive. One of the things I tend to think about action games, whether it's driving or just controlling a character in general, if you've got an action game where the player is meant to feel skillful, then actually making the controls a little bit more unwieldy could yield a better result. I'm not promising that it will, but the more sort of quirks and idiosyncrasies your controls have in a sort of racing game or a game where you are piloting a character, the sort of more there is for players to master, and the longer players will kind of stick to it while they get better. This is a very sort of one-to-one relationship between like the button you press and the direction you go in at that exact moment, and that might mean that there's not much here to master. So I'm not flat out saying that this game needs to have more difficult or floaty controls, but I think it's an example. It's a good point to... Why am I going back to get the energy drinks? I just really want to pick stuff up. This is a good example of a game where you maybe want to think about how responsive it is, and having delays in that response or having a bit of drift or something baked into the way that the chairs move might be a way to keep people engaged for longer, because if you play it and it just immediately you can kind of master it straight away, then there's not much for people to learn, and getting good at a game is a process of learning, and you need there to be stuff for people to learn. I do think this game feels good though, and I love the way that the theme of the game is leading into the mechanics in a really fun way. So if I hit these rugs, yeah, a good use of the theme of racing around a house. I think actually in real life, if you were going very fast on an office chair and you hit a rug like that, then you would probably fall off. If you've got a home like this one with sort of mixed flooring, so you've got some smooth flooring and some rugs, then maybe you can test that for us at home. Maybe just do that for us now and make a video of it, and we can kind of test the realism of this game. I don't think I've ever spoken about chairs so much on a video, so like I said earlier, if you're a chair company, you want to do a sponsorship, you want to collab, hit me up, send me a chair, send me some money. I'll re-edit this video and launch it with your chair advert in. Maybe I'll even rebrand the entire channel to be called Indie Chair Clinic, the channel about indie games and the chairs that their players sit in. I think this is a really neat little game. I think it's very good as it already is. It's quite fun. I imagine if you can sit down at your computer and play it with 2 people, it's going to be even more fun. I will, as always, put a link to the game in the description if you want to go and play it. If I was the developer and I wanted to experiment with some things that could potentially make this game better, I would pull the camera back, maybe even like 100%, so we can see twice as much, because that directional arrow at the top of the screen is doing a lot of heavy lifting at the moment, and I don't really know where the next bit of track is going. And I know that we lose some of the kind of cutesiness of the pixel art by zooming out, but I just don't think we can see enough at the moment. I think the kind of grainy fonts across the game make it quite hard to read, and I think it's worth experimenting with less responsive controls, or just controls that have a bit of like idiosyncrasy to them, like maybe turning 90 degrees from the direction you're already facing is relatively easy, but going directly back in the other direction is harder. I'm not sure, but I do have this general feeling that when you're making an action game, making the controls too responsive just means there's not enough there for players to learn and master and adapt to, which is ultimately what we are doing when we are playing and getting good at any sort of action game, whether it's racing or anything else. So thank you for that submission, Robert, from Bucketful Games. I think this is a really promising game, and I just hope this video allows more people to see it and go and play it and give you feedback and playtest the multiplayer version like I didn't. So yeah, thank you.